I'm currently staying at a place called Mayhill in the Forest of Dean, and tomorrow I'm going to go for a ride, and in particular I want to get to Wales, so I want to head to a place called Monmouth, which is just inside Wales. Now normally I would just create a custom route in order to get me there. However, on this occasion I'm going to try using the automatic routing function within Garmin Connect. Now I want this to be a road ride, so I'm going to specify it as a road ride. But when I hit the create course button, I'm going to select automatic. I'll put in a couple of parameters, the distance and the direction, and then it will automatically create a course for me. Now I had to do that a couple of times in order to make sure that I got to Monmouth, but eventually I got a course that did take me to Monmouth. Now remember, I've defined this as a road ride. There are quite a lot of gravel roads through the Forest of Dean, so I wouldn't be surprised if I end up on some of those. However, let's see how good or not so good this automatic course function within Garmin Connect is. So I'm only about 1 kilometre into the ride, and I've been directed down this tiny lane which has a very rough surface, and it's quite a steep hill. I've had to go onto my small chain ring, but this is part of the adventure. According to my Garmin, this goes on for another kilometre. And now it's actually turned into a, well, not even a road, just a track. And it's quite steep downhill, which is a bit unfortunate, because it's quite difficult to traverse. Now I'm getting to an area that's overgrown with stinging nettles. I think I'm going to get off and push through here. Hopefully it gets better further on. So I push my way back up that track, pushing my way through lots of undergrowth and detritus, which I'm removing now. However, apart from that, and a few stings from stinging nettles, I've survived. However, as I said before, I'm going to abandon that route and see if I can find my way through on the roads. I retraced back to the main road, turned left, and hit this smaller road, which should intersect the official route that I got from Garmin Connect. So let's carry on that Garmin Connect route and see what other surprises it has to offer.
Garmin Connect says I should go up there. I don't think so.
Yes, and I have turned off. And this is the sort of track I was perhaps hoping for. Well, maybe not quite as rough. I'm pretty much at the highest point now, about 250 meters above sea level. Tells me I'm off course. So now my Garmin Connect course is telling me I've got to go through there. I'm not sure that's quite right. I'm going to carry on down this fire road and see where it goes to. Now, according to Garmin Connect, I've managed to find my way back onto the course. And remember, this is supposed to be a road ride. Looks more like a mountain bike track to me. Well, just as well I've got my sturdy bike, which can do a bit of off-road. So I'm going to carry on and see where it takes me. The good news is I've joined a proper fire road now, so hopefully I can make better progress, because at the rate I was going, there's no way I was going to get to Wales. Oh, it's very bumpy. I've got a couple of mountain bikers behind me. I wish I had their suspension. I've been told I've got to turn right here. I don't think that's quite correct, do you? I suspect I'm supposed to turn left here. Again, is much more like a mountain bike track than a touring bike track. I'm glad the ground is quite dry, because this clay could be quite slippery in the wet. Having said that, I just slipped a lot. It's just started to rain, so the tracks around here are starting to get a bit slippery. Luckily, I'm coming to a road, so I think I'll call this Garmin Connect adventure to an end. Well, after my last piece to camera, the rain eased off a bit and I felt a bit better. So I thought, I'm not going to give up yet. So I carried on, and now I found myself on these sort of single track roads going through the Forest of Dean. This is much better than the previous tracks, but unfortunately they are a bit wet from that rain, but perfectly cyclable. Now I'm on one of the main Forest of Dean tracks, so this should be much easier and faster. Just have to work out the correct direction to go. This could be it. The Collier's Trail. This was the sort of roads I was hoping that Garmin Connect would interpret as road riding. Not those single tracks, or even some of the more difficult, almost no track sections. Go left here and back onto the Collier's Trail. So this is the Forest of Dean Cycling Centre, where you can hire bikes and ride around the various tracks. And if you really want to, you can have a piece of cake and a cup of tea. I think the answer is no, it doesn't. Well, I gave up on following that Garmin Connect course because it was sending me down horrible little tracks. They were supposed to be roads, and now it started raining really heavily, and along with the rain the temperature has dropped. But luckily, being in the Forest of Dean, I have trees under which I can shelter, at least to some extent anyway. Okay, I found myself off-road again. I think I may be back on my Garmin Connect track, but I'm not entirely sure. However, I'm hoping this will take me through to Monmouth. At least it's a fairly decent off-road track. Not like those single tracks or even no track options. After quite a bit of a detour, I'm back on another forest track road that's hopefully taking me back towards Monmouth. It was almost Simonjat at one point. I know I'm blowing hot and cold with this Garmin Connect route, but it wants me to go up there. Yeah, I'm not certain. Looks more like a footpath. I think I'll carry on along this fire road and see where I can get to. Okay, I'm now at a more interesting part, which is definitely not, for me anyway, cyclable. Hopefully I'm going to cut down towards the River Mono, which goes on to Monmouth. I can see a good track down below there. Unfortunately it means taking myself and my bike down there, which I'm not going to do. Plus, between here and that track appears to be a small river or stream, so getting across that would be difficult. So I'm going to have to find some other way around. Well, this is turning into a bit more of an adventure than I was expecting. The Peregrine Trail, which is just to my right, is probably 50 to 100 yards away, yet I can't get to it. This track is a possible route to get there, but it means going up and down and up and down, and I'm not sure even then I can get through. So do I try it or do I head back? I'm going to press on and see what's ahead, and then if necessary I'll have to turn back. I found my way back onto a gravel track. I'm hoping up here I'll be able to turn left and then go down to the Peregrine Trail, which can take me into Monmouth. This, I suspect, will be a very steep downhill, and judging by some of the other tracks, it'll probably be quite rocky, so I may just get off and walk. Yes, that was steep and rocky. God, this is frustrating. Peregrine Trail is just down there. I just can't seem to get down to it. I'm going to have to go back up that hill, I think. Right, after quite a bit of faffing through the woods, coming along a lot of dead ends and pushing through what's effectively walking trails, I've eventually come back out on a made-up road, which is the Simmons-Yacht car park. So I'm actually going in the wrong direction. I'm literally going in the wrong direction because I'm going the wrong way down a one-way street. All roads, it seems, leads to Simmons-Yacht. So while I was here, I took a look at the view, and here it is. Now it looks as though I'm not going to make it to Wales or to Monmouth. So I'm going to turn left here. In the end, I found the route down to the Peregrine Trail, which follows the course of the River Wye. It's quite bumpy, but it should take me to Monmouth. Now, I hadn't entirely given up on finding my way to Wales, despite having used a lot of time getting lost and then re-finding myself. Right, thank you. Thank you. Well, this is absolutely beautiful now. To my right, I've got the River Wye. Above me, I've got the sun out. Below me, I've got a traffic-free cycleway. And to the left, there's beautiful woods. Despite continuously changing my mind, I have eventually made it to Monmouth, and therefore Wales. As for that Garmin Connect routing, was it a success? Well, the simple answer is no. It was actually terrible. Terrible at routing, that is. However, it did present me with a lot of challenges, which actually I quite enjoyed. So although the routing wasn't a success, the ride has been. Now all I've got to do is go back to where I'm staying. Hello, puppy. Well, it's the morning after the night before when I cycled back from Hereford, and that last 40 kilometers was actually quite tough. Some of those hills were typically 15% in gradient, and I think I recorded a maximum of 19% at one point. So quite a tough ride. As for that Garmin Connect course, well, things didn't really get any better. I did follow the course for those last 40 kilometers. However, on a couple of occasions, it tried to send me down some tracks that weren't really cyclable. So I worked my way around them. Now, what about that Garmin Connect auto route function? Well, it was terrible. It tried to send me down some roads that weren't really roads, some tracks that weren't really cyclable, and some tracks that just weren't there. So would I use it again? Well, I would be highly reluctant to, certainly not on blind faith anyway. I might use it and then check the course out to make sure it was rideable, but otherwise I think I would completely ignore that auto routing function and go back to making my own custom routes. Anyway, I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing, and if you're really impressed, you'll find a link to buy me a coffee in the description. So from me, until the next video, it's goodbye.